AM 560, The Answer.
All right, we are back on the show all about small business jobs and entrepreneurship. You're listening to Get Down to Business. I'm your host, Shalom Klein. You can always download podcasts from Get Down to Business on my website, shalomklein.com. Podcasts are also available really on any platform where podcasts are available, so share it with your friends. We are actually approaching 6 years of Get Down to Business on April 20th, so exciting birthday coming up. I'm thrilled to be joined by my next guest, Jim Vaselopulos, who is the founder and CEO of Rafty Advisors. Jim is an amazingly accomplished C-level executive with a proven record as a rainmaker and new business development expert. What I've been amazed by is Jim's commitment to helping entrepreneurs. Right now, that is very, very obvious as you've been dedicating so much time and effort and mentorship to businesses that are struggling through this pandemic. So without further ado, Jim, welcome to the program.
Oh, Shalom, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure and an honor.
Absolutely. So, Jim, you have you've worked with so many businesses, and big and small, and you've helped a lot of early stage companies get off on the right foot. So, it's important to me in this day and age not to just focus and dwell on what we're going through right now, but tell us a little bit about some of the companies that you've worked with and how you provide services and help them sort of scale and get to the next level.
Sure. And different companies need different things at different times. And so whether you're a growing company and you're just trying to really ramp up your revenue because cash flow is king in any business. And now during stressful times like this, it's very clear how important cash flow and having a steady stream of revenue, and not just sales, but it's the revenue coming through and managing that is essential. So sometimes we're working on issues like that with companies. Sometimes it's, we've got the sales thing figured out, but we're trying to get to the next level. It might be going from 5 to 10 million, 10 to 20, 20 to 50. And there are structural elements that need to be added into the business and leadership levels that need to be added in. And those don't just happen by creating a job rec. They happen by having the right people, giving them the right training, providing the proper leadership and mentorship so that they're ready to run with the new operational responsibility. And then sometimes it's a very large company and there are strategic things that are sometimes very hard to see because it's usually some small thing that might be the fulcrum that gives you the power to make big moves in a very large company. And, identifying those, formulating a strategy around that, and then implementing it is, essential.
And every entrepreneur is sort of has a skill set at a different stage of the game. And I think it's often challenging when I talk to entrepreneurs for them to figure out where their area of expertise begins and ends. What is your advice for folks that are tuning in now that are trying to navigate when they need to look for help and when they need to seek additional guidance, expertise, particularly in a day and age like we're dealing with now?
Well, I think the age-old thing to remember is putting yourself in a position where you're seeking help when you need it. You always want to be seeking advice before you need it, seeking feedback before you need it. Any business who was in a cash crunch before this pandemic crisis, now's a bad time to be asking for money because it's when you need it. So you always want to ask for that ahead of time. The same thing goes for feedback on your business and feedback on you as an individual entrepreneur. And so having the people around you that give you good, honest feedback, making sure that you don't dismiss it and you seek it and you listen carefully and don't just object. And, it's like, well, you don't understand, I can't tell you how many entrepreneurs, tend to be a bullheaded bunch that, you give them a little bit of guidance and counsel and maybe they resist and push back. At the same time, I think it's incumbent as you grow as an advisor, as I have through the years, you don't want to go in there and say, well, you should be doing this. The last thing you want to be doing is, throwing shoulds around. You don't want to should yourself. That's a bad thing to be doing. You want to say, you might want to consider this, or have you thought about that? And then just letting people kind of digest and stew on those ideas. So it's a give and take, but always seek advice and counsel well ahead of the need and you'll be in a much better position to understand where your strengths are, understand where your liabilities may be, and to put yourself in a position to be prepared for the next big opportunity.
Seeking counsel, seeking mentorship, seeking advice. That's definitely a common theme. I'm chatting with Jim Vaselopulos, the founder and CEO of Vaselopulos Advisors. Jim, you've guided and coached so many companies through early stage in business as an entrepreneur, as well as helping to navigate some exits and identifying those right areas. One of the things that I'm passionate about and very, very biased on, as our listeners know from serving in the Army Reserves, is I'm impressed and inspired by your regular involvement and offers of assistance to veterans groups and business incubators. Do you mind telling me a little bit about how that came to be, and I guess some of the things that you're doing right now to help in the business community?
Sure. Well, I've always been a big supporter of our military. It's always been near and dear to me. But I didn't have many connections with it until a number of years ago. And as I got involved with the military community, and most notably Bunker Labs here in Chicago that got started, I found that the entrepreneurs that were military veterans that were going in and starting businesses were super impressive. I really liked their grit. And grit is a huge necessary component of any entrepreneurial venture. So I enjoyed working with them. I volunteered a lot of time over there. And in a way, I have not served our country in the military, but this is my way to serve our country for the people who did serve in our military. And so I offer consulting services, my coaching, services that most people probably couldn't afford for free to military veterans. And I think that's an important component of how I run my business. And because they've done something important and I have a tremendous amount of value. And Shalom, I thank you for your service as well. So that's a big part of who I am and how I run my business. And even today, I think it's important to really consider the community around you. So in that regard, I've been going out and actively helping entrepreneurs and giving my time away, because every business we save now through what's essentially a liquidity crisis is that much faster. Our economy gets back on its feet that much sooner. That we get people back in restaurants and we get people traveling on airplanes and going to conferences. Some of the businesses that have just suffered horrific downturns as a result of the pandemic crisis.
Absolutely. And I'm curious if you are aware of any specific resources that businesses right now should be aware of, industry agnostic, I guess, of what people should be on the lookout, and certain things that entrepreneurs should be doing to help weather the storm right now.
Yeah, I think the most notable resource right now is the CARE Act that just got passed for many people. And I think getting an understanding of what that means to you and your business is important. This is when relationships that hopefully you have forged ahead of time, whether it's with your accountant, your CPA, your bookkeeper, your lawyer, any advisor or coach you might have, can help you think through how this affects your business. So I'd really lean in on that. I know that myself and a number of other coaches have put ourselves out there and said, hey, we will provide support. I'm providing free support for anyone who needs it. You can go to my website, vaselopulos.com/pandemic, and sign up for time. And, if you need 2 time slots, sign up for 2 time slots. And I will help you for free with your business, because that's just the right thing to do. This is kind of like that big snowstorm we get every, twice a year or so. And, you help your neighbors shovel out of the snow. And that's what we're all here to do.
That's incredible. And one of the other ways that we weren't able to spend too much time on that you are helping, and I'm a believer in, obviously Get Down to Business. We've had, as I mentioned, we're approaching 6 years on the air, and we've had some amazing entrepreneurs and some amazing role models and profiles on the air, is through your podcast, the Leadership Podcast, as you've featured some incredible people. And obviously I encourage everybody to check out some of your guests and the advice that's shared there. So Jim Vaselopulos, we are running out of time, and I want to make sure that everybody can once again find your website and the Leadership Podcast.
Absolutely. Thank you, Shalom. You can find all my contact information on my website. It's at Rafti Advisors. That's RAFTI advisors.com. And there's plenty of information about the podcast, what I do for a living. And if you are one of the small businesses listening in and you do need help, please feel free to go to raftiadvisors.com/pandemic, sign up for time, and we will help you make the best decisions you can make considering the circumstances that we're in.
All right. I appreciate it, Jim. Thank you. And we'll be back and get down to business in just a moment with more tips, advice, and information. Right back in just a moment.